Hey, it's day 5 at the UNFCCC climate negotiations, and the ad hoc negotiator team is here to report back in Panama. My name is Seb, I'm French originally, and I'm here to follow the EU and their position in the climate process. So I just arrived, and I'm quite happily surprised actually this morning. There's been a lot of reporting on the progress and what different countries and parties are doing in the negotiations in the LCA track. So it's basically looking at the convention and what is going to happen after the end of this year. And I've heard a lot of good report of country delegates being drafting text for Durban, and that's great news because that means they are stopping the political discussions and really focus on how to move to make the next conference at the end of this year a productive and successful one. There are, however, a few issues that are still blocking on the way, and I will let my colleague explain more about that.
So there's a lot of talk about action, but in order for that action to take place, there need to be resources. And a few years ago, developed countries, committed to raising $100 billion in climate finance by 2020. They put down a commitment for some short-term funds, and that was going through 2012. We're coming up on 2012. We need to talk about what happens between the end of that short-term finance and the beginning of that 2020 $100 billion a year commitment. Unfortunately, the developed country parties in this process have refused to talk about that. So in particular, the Umbrella Group, which is a group of developed countries, and especially the US notably, has pushed back hard on any discussion of how we're going to get from that short-term finance that's been agreed and committed to that long-term finance of $100 billion in 2020. It needs to happen, and it's a pretty significant block right now.
So we've just heard about the US's plans to block any progress on long-term climate finance. One other big thing that's been happening in the talks is a push by NGOs like Oxfam for a tax on global shipping emissions. The idea is that we can tax global shipping emissions, which will reduce pollution, but also provide money, long-term sources of money, for the climate fund. So, with 3 days to go at the talks, I'm hoping there will be progress on this issue of long-term finance, and hopefully the suggestion for a tax on global shipping emissions will be successful. Until then, stay tuned for more reports from the TckTckTck Negotiator project.